Broadcasting live from our studio in Boston with presentations from prominent industry vendors, Solutions Review presents Data Demo Day, a virtual trade show for data management and analytics.
I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and welcome to this Data Demo Day. We have assembled a power lineup with three of the most innovative solutions available in data and analytics today. Our goal with the Demo Day series is to deliver a content-rich program where leading solution providers take you into their technology and walk you through the key features and functions. For this event, we're excited to present three companies that each offer a compelling value proposition across the full spectrum of organizational needs: business intelligence, embedded analytics, data integration, and master data management. First up is Bold BI by Syncfusion, an embedded analytics solution for developers that offers a simplified yet comprehensive interface for building and delivering business dashboards. And joining us from North Carolina is Brad Freeman, Vice President of Sales. Brad, thanks for being with us and welcome.
Hey, it's good to be here. Thanks for letting me hop on.
Well, I'm glad you're leading us off because I think it would be helpful for us to have a little bit of a conversation just to start and honestly get your professional perspective on this space. You've been in sales and you've been at Syncfusion and Bold BI for 15 years, has it been?
Yeah, a long time, coming up on years now. Yeah.
Well, we've been covering the space not quite that long, actually, probably only about 7 years, but in that time we've really started to delineate down from just kind of a broader BI to data integration, data management, backup and disaster recovery, data science, and I've actually gone very narrow and very deep. But I'm curious to get your perspective before we get going about what you've seen in terms of, and let's use our audiences as the analog. What do you see that folks that have been coming to you as prospects and eventually customers? How have they been evolving? What have they been asking for? What have they started to take advantage of over the past decade?
Yeah, I think a lot has changed. I think especially with the pandemic has made a lot of interesting business solutions change. I mean, we've seen everything from, people just needing to monitor the remote work side of things to being able to do more access to things from further away. So I think the ability to see data now is become more important than ever. And be able to track it in this fast moving pace. I see customers from all walks now coming in, just from the small mom and pops to the large companies, really taking advantage of all the data that's out there. So it's kind of an interesting time. So,
well, and I think that last point is interesting, and it's certainly what we've been seeing as well. Whereas a lot of enterprise technology feels like it can only be applied to larger organizations. Right. In the case of BI and analytics, and in particular your solution, you can really see benefits at the SMB level.
Right. Yeah, you can. I mean, it makes it available for everyone. Which really breaks the mold and what, back in the day, everyone used to not even know what's going on. And now the small businessman can, watch everything and help grow his business faster, which is pretty incredible, I think.
Well, and so where are you seeing growth in data? Obviously, everybody talks about the avalanche of data that organizations are accumulating. But honestly, at every level, where are you seeing the data opportunities?
The biggest thing that comes to us now has been a lot of inventory tracking, trying to keep up with all that, with all the supply issues around the world and everything. That's been a real big thing, and people are trying to really kind of get a pinpoint on that to stay ahead of the curve.
Well, I know we're going to transition to a presentation. I know you're going to go over a few slides. And then Dan Jebaraj, the CEO of Syncfusion, is going to work his way into a demo, which I think you're going to hand him off to. It is about 30 minutes, and then we're going to come back after that and rejoin and walk through some questions and answers. I'm going to certainly have some reactions to the presentation. I think our audience is going to have some questions. I'm certainly going to have some questions as well. So I think what we're going to do now is transition to that, and then we'll join back up together in about a half an hour.
Sounds great. Okay, before we begin, I wanted to share a bit about how Bold BI started. Bold BI was developed for internal use to evaluate the massive amount of data generated within Syncfusion over the last 20 years of business. From this usage internally and customers' demand, we made Bold BI available to the public and have since then added many features and updates requested by our customers. A few reasons why Bold BI is so unique is Bold BI is built from the ground up to be embedded within your application, making it easy for deployment, customers' use, and white labeling. Bold BI has also been recognized by Gartner as an embedded analytics vendor and listed in the top 10 of G2's top software development vendors of 2022. Bold BI also provides an industry-changing licensing model with predictable costs, with no per-user fees or other hidden charges. We offer just one simple flat fee so you can focus on growing your usage. We also provide free analytical dashboards and reporting to small businesses and individuals under our community license program to help them grow with a little less stress. Let's not delay you anymore and jump right into the demo to see Bold BI in action and learn more with Daniel Jebaraj, our CEO. And after the demo, I'll be around to answer any of your questions. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for participating in the Data Demo Day presented by Solutions Review. We're excited to be presenting Bold BI, an embedded analytics platform by Syncfusion today. So before we look into the details of the embedded analytics platform, Bold BI, let's talk a little bit about what embedded analytics is and how it is different from standalone analytics. So most of us are familiar with standalone analytics. So we use Tableau, or if you've used Power BI, and customers bring in our data and then are able to create dashboards and then share them with others for analysis and monitoring. Embedded analytics is a little different. It also can be used standalone. The systems that power embedded analytics can also be used standalone. They have their own server backend, and you can connect to them in the same way as you can connect to Tableau or Power BI and use them. But they are designed for embedding. And what do we mean by embedding? By embedding, we mean that the analytics platform becomes a part of your software application. So let's say you have a manufacturing monitoring application, or you have a CRM application, or any other application, and you want to empower your customers to be able to analyze and act and present their data to stakeholders. They can do it in one of two ways. They can take your data and then make it available within Tableau or Power BI or any of those standalone analytics systems, or you can build in your own analytics system within your application. So an embedded analytics platform such as Bold BI enables you to bring a full-fledged analytics platform and make it a part of your application interface, a seamless part of your application interface. Customers do not have to leave their system to go out and perform analytics. They can do it right within your system itself. It's a tremendous value add in that sense. So what are some key differences between embedded analytics and standalone analytics? Standalone analytics is different in some ways than embedded analytics, and those considerations are important when you make a choice. Embedded analytics really works for scenarios where you want to totally control the experience. If you are a SaaS vendor and you have a lot of customers and you want to present a seamless integrated experience for those using analytics, embedded analytics is a great way to do it. If you're distributing your application to your customers and they need to host it in different scenarios, maybe on their own cloud or on premises, and you want to provide a seamless experience, again, embedded analytics is a great choice because they don't have to really go out and license another recommended third-party software, and you don't have to potentially support multiple third parties to analyze the data that's produced by your software system. It's also a great choice from a licensing perspective when you're deploying to a lot of users within a company or customer facing, because you're not paying per user in most instances. You're paying usually a fixed fee of some kind that is per application or per server or some other model that's used by other vendors. In our case, we use a very straightforward model that we will talk about a little later. But that's an advantage. You're not really paying by user as you would with a traditional standalone analytics package. But standalone analytics is better for some purposes, and I'll briefly mention those. If you are targeting deployment to a small segment of really advanced analysts who maybe perform cutting-edge analysis with your data or with your customers' data, embedded analytics is really not a great fit for that purpose. Embedded analytics does 80% of what some of the more advanced standalone packages do. So in cases like that where you're deploying to those who wish to perform advanced analytics and you're deploying to a smaller audience, for that purpose, standalone analytics may be a better fit. It may also not be a great fit if you're deploying to a very small number of users because with the per user model of standalone analytics, that might be a better option for you when as compared to licensing a full-fledged embedded analytics system for broader distribution. So Bold BI is an embedded analytics system that comes with 30 plus widgets and cover the gamut, pretty much everything that you can stick on an analytics dashboard is already available with Bold BI. It also supports customization of these widgets. Comes with a full-fledged drag and drop designer. You can drag and drop the widgets, customize them, configure them, publish, and it's completely codeless development and deployment of these interfaces. There's support for deep integration, and this is something that we will observe during the demo. This is one of those features that really helps embedded analytics products stand out when compared to standalone analytic products. Standalone analytic products also can be embedded within your software system, but the deep integration is something that has to be designed into the system. And we mean by deep integration that every aspect of the UI becomes seamless part of your application. So if you're displaying a dashboard, you can control what toolbars are displayed, whether export options are shown or certain parts of the UI are visible or not, theming. Do you want to display only certain widgets? Do you want to allow the editing of the interface in a designer? Do you want to turn it off? Do you want to have a different, maybe wizard-based way of deploying the designer? So all of those aspects can be controlled very in a very straightforward way with deep integration as a feature for an embedded analytics platform that is designed for that purpose, as compared to another platform which may be designed for primarily standalone use. Bold BI connects to a variety of different data sources, 120 plus at last count, and we connect to all the popular data sources out there. If you have a custom data source, we will likely be able to support that as well. With Bold BI, you can connect directly to these data sources. There's no need for an intermediate data store. In some cases, when data needs to be cached, we can handle that for you transparently. We can bring in that data from a web API or anything else of that sort, and then be able to cache it, and then be able to have dashboards and analytics against those data sources. It's very powerful, very easy to use, very simple. So you can use Bold BI with any framework, any server framework, .NET, you can use PHP, you can use Java, you can use Rails, anything that you wish to use, you can. You can also use any client-side framework on the client side in order to integrate Bold BI with your application. So it's very powerful, very easy to use with any of these frameworks. You also can deploy Bold BI anywhere, whether you wish to deploy on-premises, on your own hardware, or Windows or Linux. You can deploy using Kubernetes on cloud-based systems in a very scalable manner. All of that is built into the Bold BI system. It's complete control over your deployment experience. Syncfusion also runs our own cloud system, so if you wish to use our cloud as a backend where you have ready to use Bold BI instances, and that's available also as an option. But you can choose to run it anywhere you want. You're not bound to one cloud server or one cloud vendor. You really are free to deploy anywhere. If you have a cloud neutral strategy, then this is a great fit for your needs. We support multi-tenancy out of the box. If you have a need to have multiple tenants on your system, perhaps divisions or perhaps different customers, and you don't want the complexity of managing different servers for those needs, this is a great fit because multi-tenancy is supported out of the box, and you don't really have to work with any of these things to make it happen and support it just out of the box. We have optimized support for single sign-on, and single sign-on can be an overloaded term in this context. We mean both that the server itself can be can be set up to sign on with Office 365 or any of the third-party authentication and authorization providers. You can also have your application seamlessly control that, so the user doesn't have to deal with any kind of secondary authentication. Everything is handled in a seamless fashion. So that is also supported out of the box. We have Bold BI offers embedding friendly licensing. What do I mean by that? In very simple terms, we don't charge by server, we don't charge by users, we charge by projects. Very, very simple pricing, and you can go to our website and take a look at our pricing model. Pricing options start at $4.95 per application per month, and they give you broad deployment rights. You don't have to worry about facing scaling costs as you expand the use of your application. You don't have to worry about paying per user fees or per server fees or any of that sort. It's very, very friendly for embedding. So that's another great feature with Bold BI. We're now ready to look at the demo. So we'll look at few actual samples and demos and get a better sense of how the product is used. For the first part of the demo, we are going to be looking at the server side of Bold BI. Just as a standalone standalone analytics system would have a server, embedded analytics systems also have a similar kind of server which can be deployed standalone also. So in this case, the server instance that I'm connecting to is hosted on the Syncfusion Bold BI cloud. But as mentioned before, it can be hosted anywhere. It can be hosted on your own on-premise hardware or on the cloud. So here I have a specific instance called demo.boldbi.com, and I'm logged in, and I'm going to walk through the creation of a data source and a dashboard so we get a feel for the power of the platform. We'll then take a look at how to embed the dashboard once created into a custom application. So let's get started by creating a data source. So we click on the data sources tab and then click on create data source. So we are given a list of available data sources. For the purposes of this demo, I'm going to choose Excel because I have a local file available that I can upload and look at. So I'm going to give it the name Northwind because I have data from the Northwind database that's used in a lot of samples. I'm just going to choose this, and I'm going to import the worksheets in the table, worksheets in the spreadsheet. So it'll take a few minutes to read the file and fetch schema information. It'll present an interface with all the available sheets. The sheets are mapped to tables. It will give us an option to see if we want to import everything or a subset. I'm going to import everything. So I'll give it a few seconds to complete the import. So because this is a flat file, it's going to import it into its own data store. So once that happens, we will have access to the tables for further use and analysis. Okay, now that the import is done, we are ready to work with the data source designer to create a data source that we can use in our dashboard. So I have the orders table here. What I would like to do is to take the orders table, bring it to the design surface. I'd like to join the orders table with, let's say, the shippers table. So each order has a shipper that's used to complete the order. So I'm going to do a join. I'm going to select the shipper reference, shipper foreign key. I think it's the ship via option. So let me select that. And then here it would be the ID of the shipper. So shipper ID on the shippers table. So I'll merge this and I can look at a preview of the data as merged. So we can see that the company name from the shippers table has been pulled into the data set. So I'm going to actually go in and rename this column that's derived from the underlying shippers table. I want to rename it so it's easier to remember than company name. So I'm going to say shipper name instead of company name. So just for reference, this is a fully functional system for bringing in data sources and merging them, processing them, setting up filters. We can also have functions created here if you want to have a derived column. As an example, if you have an order table and you have a price and a quantity, you can create a order value for that line total for that line by multiplying those values. We have a rich set of functions, about I think just under 200 functions are supported. So that's also available as an option. We're not going to do that now. But right now we have transformed the data, we have joined data, and then we've renamed one field to make it a little easier to see that we are dealing with shipper name. So I'm going to save and exit. Now I'm ready to create a dashboard from this data source. So at the very top, you can see that the newly created data source is available. So this is where it's available right here. So what I'm going to do is look at this option here, and I'm going to select this. So when I do this, when I select that option, I will be given a create data source, create dashboard option from the data source. So I'm going to select that, and that will bring up the dashboard designer interface. So I'm going to drag and drop a column chart. So let's configure a column chart to connect to this data source. So I'm going to click on this little gear settings icon. The first thing to do is to assign the data. So in order to assign the data, we have to decide which data goes on the columns and which data goes on the rows. So the column is the primary grouping that we are dealing with here. So in this instance, I'm going to make the column the country, basically. Let's say that the ship country is the column here. So let's add a value so we can deal with some value information to see what's going on. So in this case, I'm going to bring in the order ID, and I don't want a summary of the order ID. Of course, I want a count of the order ID. So I'm going to have countries on the columns, and then value is the count of order ID. I want to see that by each shipper, basically. So for each country, I want to see the shippers and their distribution. So let's go to shipper name that we created and bring that onto the row. So now we see for each country, we see the distribution between the different shippers. It's easy enough to go and filter only those top 5 countries or top 3 countries. So let me go ahead and filter by rank. Let's leave it at top 5. And again, I want to do order ID, and I want to deal with the count. So I'm going to say OK. And now you see it has been updated to show shippers for orders by country and only for the top 5. So I can go in and look at the properties just to get a feel for what is possible. You will see that it's very simple to customize. So we can say shipper information as the title for the chart. I can go ahead and customize the legend. So if I want, right now it has a template of row and value, but I can remove the value from the template, and I can do it like this. I can give the legend a title if I choose. So I can just say this is the shipper name here as legend. So I can do that. So I can make a lot of different changes on this in a very interactive fashion. So it's very easy for us to create a dashboard in an interactive manner, and then to also preview and publish it from this interface. So this is the preview, and I'm going to go ahead and close the preview, and I can choose to publish it if I want. Now, we can look at some of the dashboards that are available as samples. So just to get a feel for what is possible with the drag and drop interface that the designer provides and the rich set of widgets that are provided. So this is a construction project monitoring dashboard. So it's just some information, and you can have different projects here in a list. Filters are always provided. and filters can be wired to either the entire part of the dashboards, the entire dashboard, rest of the dashboard, or to certain sections of the dashboard. So here by default it's set to all, but I can choose a certain project and see that information updated. This is some forum management dashboard with information being pulled from a database and then being displayed. This is a pharmaceutical production analysis dashboard, just to give you a feel. And we have literally hundreds of samples that are available on the site and on the demo site and everywhere else, just to give you a feel for what is possible with the product. Now going back to the server interface, this is the data source, the list of data sources. All of these can be managed here. We can actually look at the sharing permissions for the data source. We can manage access here. We can do that for the dashboards. Each dashboard can be managed on a group basis, or each category can be managed on a group basis or individual user basis. The users can be from an external system, or they can be managed within the system. If it's an external system such as Active Directory or Office 365, they can be automatically tied to that system through the settings option. So all of these configurations are available within the system. So it's very simple to set up a pinboard or a slideshow, or to have dashboards generated on a schedule and mailed out to your stakeholders. So all of this can be controlled from within the server environment. It can also be completely branded for your purpose. So you can see all the different aspects to branding. You can have your own domain can be used to host the system. All of that can be done from within the server management interface. So next, we are going to look at how to consume a dashboard that is hosted on a server, or parts of a dashboard in several other ways, in a server application that we create, a custom application that would be representative of an application that you would create. And we will see how to wire the two together and how the embedding actually works. Okay, we're now ready to look at an application, a custom application, in which we will host the dashboard from the server. So in order to create a custom application, you can use any framework that you want. We're not tied to any particular framework. In this case, I'm going to use the ASP.NET application, ASP.NET Core application, .NET 6 application really. And I'm using Visual Studio on the Mac, Visual Studio 2022 preview on the Mac. I have this sample loaded, and I'll walk through the different parts of the sample that are of interest in our particular context. So the first thing that we have to look at is this configuration file called embed.config.json. So there are a few settings that are important. In this case, the dashboard ID is just simply being hard-coded. I have taken this identifier for a dashboard that I want to display. It's from the server that we worked with already, the demo server that we saw. And then I'm providing the user context and also some information that allows me to authenticate against that server. Now, in a real application, all of these things are dynamic, and you can change them and the URL that you provide, the payload that you provide will control this. But in this case, it's a very simple sample to get started. So we just have this information in a config file, and we're going to use this to access the information on the server. So now let's look at the visual part of this application. So with ASP.NET, we have CS/HTML templates. So if you look at those templates, really the important part is that we have a call to a function named init here, and then we have some sections that will then be replaced with the information from the dashboard. About the dashboard section, this is where the dashboard will be plugged in by the runtime system. I've created just some text to kind of demarcate that this is not the whole UI is not being taken over by the dashboard, but we have complete control over the UI. We are plugging it into a div with a certain ID, viewer section in this case, and we're bringing it in. But the key thing to remember here is that we have complete control over this system. This is a control-based embedding. Everything is controllable. Every aspect of the embedding can be controlled, and we're bringing in a control that represents the dashboard in this case, and how we place it, how we position it, how we get it to react to the application, all of that is completely within our control. So let me go ahead and actually build this, and let me also show the JavaScript code. So it's very similar. It's simple. We have an init function, and then the dashboard is initialized, and then we load the dashboard. When loading the dashboard, the information is brought in from the server, and the required div is replaced with the information from the server. So I'm going to go ahead and build this and then run it. So let's build it, and then let's go ahead and actually run this application. So it's loading. So we can see this, this is some text is at the top, and then the rest of the interface is taken over by the dashboard. So it's very simple to do this kind of embedding. So this is a starting point, but we have a lot of other ways to do more complex embedding, and I'll walk through some samples in the next part of the demo. For the last part of the demo, we're going to navigate to the Bold BI website and look at samples that are available on the site. So we now have enough context to look at these samples. So we click on we go to the home page and load the live samples that are provided on the site. So the default rendering is very similar to what we did. We embed a full dashboard, and in this case, there's more outside information here. But we embed a full dashboard in a manner very similar to what we did. If you look at the sample code, it's very easy to load sample code and look at all the work that's done behind the scenes. It's very similar to what we already did now a few minutes ago. We can also embed widgets. So if we don't have to embed the entire dashboard, we can choose to embed just a widget, just part of it basically. So that's also supported. So in this case, we can refresh the widget that we want to load as part of the dashboard. We can load a subset of widgets that are available on the dashboard. It's very powerful. You can embed the data sources that you want. You can represent anything that you wish, any part of the UI in a very customized manner within your own application. So that's really what these things showcase. So we are also able to control how things are laid out. So this is something that we can control at a very precise level. So for example, if I do not want the certain options to be available, I'm going to turn off the show refresh and the show export options. So if I do that and apply the changes, then the dashboard will be updated to represent the changes that I specified at the settings level. There's also complete support for themes. So if you have a specific theme that you would like the dashboard, the analytics system to follow, then you can apply that. We ship with a few themes out of the box, but it's very easy to create your own themes and to have the dashboard match your interface. We have rich support for embedding and exporting when embedding. So you can have Excel export, image export, PDF, CSV, pretty much any option that you would need to have the data sent over as, then you can actually do that out of the box without writing any extra code. We have support for common configuration systems that you would use, such as filtering on a data source with a filter being applied in a parameterized way. So you're able to take a single dashboard source, so for example sales for a region, and then you can parameterize it such that data from only that region is loaded. So you could have one dashboard that services all the regions, so you don't have to replicate and create a dashboard for every region. So you can have different kinds of filters that are built for that purpose. So we also support data binding. You can bind to any data source you want. So if you have a particular schema that you bound to when you created the dashboard, then you can bind to another instance of that schema. So that's very simple to do. So if you have a staging environment, for example, and you have a production environment, or you have different departments that you're connecting to, you can set all those up in a very straightforward way. There's also support for embedding. Event handling when embedding. If you want to receive events from the embedded control when widgets are being loaded, when the rendering is happening. So all of those aspects are available as notifications within your application. So in this case, we are able to see an event trace. So you're able to react to things that are going on within the embedded control that represents the dashboard. So these are just some samples that give you an idea of how complete the embedding story is for the Bold BI product. So when you bring it into your application, you can be confident that you can render things in a way that makes sense for your particular needs. Second thing is that Bold BI is available free to all individual users. We have a community license. If you go to our website and click on the pricing tab, the very first option that you will see is the community license, which is available free to all individuals and businesses. For individual use, it is free always. For business use, it is free if your revenue is less than $1 million. So if you like what you've seen so far and you wish to access the system, you can register. It takes only a minute, and then you can download the entire product and try it. So even if you're not interested in implementing analytics in the short term, I think working with Bold BI will give you a really good feel for what to expect and how your organization can benefit from it. Thank you very much.
That was excellent. I'm going to jump back in here, and Brad, I'm going to bring you back in. There was certainly a lot to react to there, and it's interesting how transparent everything is effectively with regard to pricing, but also interesting is, in keeping with our demo day theme, is the amount of industry-specific, department-specific, analytics-specific demos that you have on your site that people can just navigate to and drill down. I mean, in industry, there's construction, education, energy, government, healthcare, hospitality, insurance, manufacturing, on and on and on, real estate, retail, pharmaceutical. You guys have really taken demos to a whole nother level, which we love. Can you share with us a couple of examples without, you don't have to name names. We understand that there's sometimes sensitivity around data and sharing results and so forth, but you clearly have been around and seen plenty of success at Bold BI and Syncfusion. So, what can you share without revealing too much for some success stories?
Yeah, we do have quite a bit of them. One in particular that sticks out was an early comer to us. It's a company that kind of basically does software for veterinarians all around the country. And it's kind of an interesting thing because when you look at it as a veterinarian, almost every corner you drive by nowadays. But they take all the call data from customers. So they get tons and tons of volumes of customers calling in for appointments, for checking on prescriptions, et cetera. So they take all that data and analyze it out to decide where the next veterinarian should be located at. And so it's kind of like, when you take millions of phone calls all around the country, they analyze it and can tell you what zip code's the best for the next veterinarian to pop up. So they took all that data and put it into Bold BI and worked with us directly to help streamline it down, because the way they had it before was just basically a lot of tedious work via Excel sheets and a lot of long nights. And now they can do it right on the fly. So they can, if you're a vet and you're looking to open up another location, they can tell you exactly where to open it up very easily and streamline it. And then the actual vet can take it and do their own analytics inside and have made it to where they can track customers' usage and who's to advertise and market to. So it's kind of expanded beyond its original role. So now they've made not only something for their company, but now individual veterinarians are using it on a local basis, just to monitor their own interior stuff. So that's pretty cool to see it go from one company to selling it to a broad basis on a broad market, and then bringing it down all the way to the individual basis to find a use for it. So it shows you just kind of how adaptable it is. You can use it for any kind of scenarios. And then,
you got another one?
Oh yeah, to give it on a broader scale, it's just kind of, we have another kind of support level that a lot of times companies don't know about. It's called, we call it our premium support for lack of words. But it's basically where we team with the company to help them develop and design their dashboards. So a good example is recently we had a very large steel company that's been in business for a long, long, long time, 50 plus years. And they've never really had any big data analytics going on. And, with all this information funneling around, it's just, I guess the steel has just been the same way it's always been. And they're wanting to kind of look at it a different way. But since they don't really have technical people on hand, they partnered with us and we helped design and build the entire outlet for them. So now they can monitor everything down to the instance, and it's been a life-changing event for them because, everything has just been kind of see and learn, and now they can actually tell the exact everything they need. So it's pretty cool when you see it. So not only can someone who's super advanced can do it right out of the box, or your mom and pop can do it, but if you need help, we're here too. So it's kind of nice.
Well, so a couple of things I want to reflect on with that last point. One is the demo that was done by Dan really did. I mean, it had. If you are familiar with spreadsheets and you've been managing a lot of your data in spreadsheets, it looks like there's a fairly low learning curve in terms of being able to bring in a more powerful system like Bold BI and still be able to get the graphics and a lot of the imagery that you want to reflect some of the data that you're getting there, which I think is interesting. Secondarily, with that last point around support, what kind of support? So folks, they're seeing lots of possibilities, I'm sure, and there's, I think, some hesitation sometimes about taking that next step to a next level solution like this. What kind of support do you guys bring to the table for somebody who's beginning a journey with Bold BI?
Well, we have 24/5 support. And then we also have live chat. We have chat via the account from Bold BI, where a customer can literally submit an incident right online and get an answer pretty rapidly. They have availability to arrange live demos and live calls at any time with our customer support. So they will walk you right through it. Every new customer gets full onboarding. So they do a full training with the customer to help them get up and running and build their actual first dashboard. That's a big help. So, if you're a little uncomfortable or anything like that, when you first start off, we just kind of handhold you, and most people pick it up pretty quickly and take it on. But if you need it, the support's always there. That's the biggest thing we've been known about for 20 plus years now is our support. So.
Well, and that's one of the questions actually that we've gotten from the audience is around implementation services and mid-market support, and effectively, I think that's what you just covered right there. Yes. Yep.
We're here. That's our biggest thing is support. So.
Excellent. Somebody's asking about the community version that Dan referenced, which is not on the pricing page, but is still available.
Yes, still available. There should be a headliner across the top of the page they click on. If not, we'll be sharing that with everybody as well, but it is available. I know they were doing some updates on the website today, so it's probably just one of those things.
Yeah. I know how that goes. And a couple more questions coming in. Let me just cycle through some of these. So I know Dan touched on a little bit, but can you talk a little bit about integrations and what integrations are available?
Yeah, we have over 150 direct connects currently, and then we have a web API so you can connect to most other things. And what we do with a lot of that stuff, we build on demand. So if a customer comes to us and they need a database that we currently don't have, we'll just build it for them. It might take a couple days, but we'll get it connected up for them. So as long as it's able to be connected to, we'll build it and get it there for you.
Excellent. So folks are asking about, what sets Bold BI apart. So, those kind of unique, your sales, what are the kind of unique sales propositions? What do they call them that you might be able to point to that separates Bold BI from the competition?
Yeah, I say the same thing I've been saying since I've been here. It's the biggest thing between us and someone else. We're not just that, person you buy from and then you don't ever hear from them again. Our success is built on our customer success. Everything that we do is we rely basically on the customer. We are successful as they are, so we ensure their success. That's why our support is so in depth. Because if you have an issue, we're going to be there. If it takes all day, we'll be there. Whatever we need, that's what builds us to who we are. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't realize is still available out there in this world, where you can actually have live people to talk to, and you can have someone that actually cares about your business a little bit.
I think that's probably one of the first fears is kind of that is the support element. A secondary fear, and certainly another primary fear, is security around data. Can you speak a little bit about how Bold BI deals with data security?
Yeah, it's all housed, and we do tons and tons of scan. We have all that available as well on our website. So we can post links to that for all the customers to look through. And if they have any other detailed questions, we can get that to them. But we have each new customer we have, a lot of times they come to us and want another particular security scan. So we add those into the implementations and update all that data for all our customers to see on the site as well. So we try to stay as far ahead of the curve we can. And there's a lot of items that we're actually in process of implementing, like HIPAA certification and many, many others.
So before we get into a couple other questions that I have, well, actually, this is one of the questions I have. Where are you seeing traction right now in terms of Bold BI? I mean, what within an organization and also types of organizations?
I think a lot of it's, your general finance stuff is a big thing. I think those are your everyday ones. But a lot of it, I think, has come from, like I mentioned earlier on, it's been a whole lot of inventory stuff, like inventory tracking has been big. And I think it's just because people are wanting to look at how to do it on different scales and different models. So, the person who usually might not have had the funds to go and track their smaller line of inventory in a business is now able to. So they've been coming to us a lot just from referrals and things like that. And then, basically, we talk to so many people in a day. It's kind of interesting the caveat of different businesses. So it's just about anybody really, but the big ones have always been finance.
Well, so let's get into where you make your living. How does an implementation go? Typical, obviously, there's all kinds, and I understand that. But walk me through someone who says after watching this show, I want to call those guys and start engaging in a conversation. Talk a little bit about the cycle, how long it takes from first contact through a full scoping to ultimate implementation.
Yeah, we usually start off with a trial, and we do a live demo with them. We walk through, answer their questions, and kind of get an understanding what their needs are, and then we kind of help them get up and running. Then we usually go back and forth for them, and then once they're actually ready to move, we set up an onboarding call. We have an entire team dedicated to that. It's called our client success team. So they reach off to the customer, set up everything they need, walk them through everything. They do the live call with them to help them build up their dashboards and kind of interesting to see what their needs are. Then the support team designs and gives them samples. The whole process usually for a customer, depending on the depth of it, can be from 3 days to a week and a half. Just really depends. Some people get up and running the same day. If it's a big embedded one, it might take a little bit more with the programming, but it's pretty quick turnaround. Most people are up and running inside of a month, fully distributing and everything.
Nice. I always ask this of everybody. What should they be preparing for if this is something either that's new that they are stepping up to, or if they're moving from another system?
I think to prepare is basically just giving us ideas of what they want, like their data sources they need and what kind of their designs are and what what they want. And then that helps us get them exactly what they need. Because we've always done basically on customers' references and referrals, saying that if you come to us and you say you need this kind of grid or this kind of chart, we're going to get it there for you. It might not be there out of the box, but we have tons of components available from the Syncfusion side of the business that we can kind of build it right into the dashboard for you. So giving us the full details is kind of that. And then understanding that, we are here to help. Like sometimes we help a lot. So if you, as a customer's wise, we always like to be there. So just to understand that you have all the needs you have in front of you.
So another thing that we see, which some people might not want to admit, is that their data is a bit of a mess, and that they aren't sure that you're going to be able to kind of help them untangle all that, and there's almost an embarrassment to moving to a next level solution.
Yeah, that we come across that. So we have tools that we help with customers that we provide them to help kind of data migrate their data into situations. We have a data migration tool. So we help take their data in and bring it to a scenario they want. So that's all available via our support. So that's something no one needs to fear. We have that happen all the time, and our team is there to do it. We do it internally all day long with all our data. So we have plenty of people ready to kind of jump on board to help out.
Outstanding. So I think we've covered pretty much everything. Is there anything Anything else you want to add? I mean, what's the best way for somebody to get in touch?
Just right via our website. Just go to boldbi.com. You can hop right on chat and start talking to us live, where we cover it 22 hours a day. So someone's always on there to answer questions.
Outstanding. Well, Brad, thanks very much for the time today. Excellent job. Dan did a great job on the demo as well. And we look forward to covering you more here at Solutions Review and also seeing you soon.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doug. Have a great day.
You bet. Well, there you have it. One demo down. We have another one with Click coming up at the top of the hour. So we'll want you to stay tuned for that. It's a demo you don't want to miss. And we'll see you soon.